Some of the greatest people ever were Jews. Smartest man ever, Albert Einstein. He was Ashkenazi. Important people to American history, everyone in Berlin. I don't even like his music, but he was important. Jewish. Strong people of today like Bernie Sanders, Jewish. Jesus Christ himself, Jewish. And I'm talking very Jewish. I need to say, around the time Angel Gabriel came to Holy Mary, she was praying to Yahweh, the Jewish God, the Abrahamic God, God the Father in Christianity, Allah in Islam. Even I'm a Jew. Or at least half from my mother's side, and a sliver from my father. I originally thought I was like basic Polish, but yeah, after I realized a Lithuanian ancestor's last name sounded Germanic, I digged in, yeah, Jewish all around. I've had family from the Pale Settlement. I got some Ukrainian Jews from Volyn, Lithuanian Jewish from northern Lithuania, and primarily Polish Jewish from western Galicia and Slovakia. I also have some Spanish Sephardic, but not much info is known about it. I am not a practicing Jew, however. They all converted to Catholicism. I used to think that was rare how they all did, but that we need to find each other to keep the Jewish origin and Hebrew blood. They all, of course, experience anti-Semitism, even with conversion. A real problem. But it's rising online with figures such as Nick Fuentes and Cadence Owens. But what we went through multiple times is what we should never go through again. Thankfully, most of the people who say, "Ooh, the Jews run the world," are incels who can't get offline. It will probably never get too influential on American soil. And say what you want to say about Israel. I don't even support them as a Jew. Free Palestine. I think Herzl's original idea for Zionism was a good idea. It just wanted Israel as a place for Jews to settle without any persecution of either side. But Israel failed that. I just think too much obsession with Israel will lead someone to say anti-Semitic shit. There's theories that Israel killed JFK, but JFK actually supported the idea of Israel, just not nukes. Israel just went ahead and made them anyway, making them but without killing him, which is what many nations did. JFK did not want more nations to develop as it grew more. Many presidents have in fact said no to Israel without being killed. Trump, as much as I hate him, tried to end the war in Gaza. Unsuccessful but still, and I believe he only did it to protect his image. Obama fucking famously made a nuclear arms deal with Iran, and Israel was so fucking pissed. Bush also allowed Gaza and West Bank to hold elections, and he also invaded Iraq over Israel not exactly wanting that to happen, so there isn't any instability. Nixon and Kissinger was Jewish, by the way, dragged them away from doing a preemptive attack in Yom Kippur War, only sending aid in late stages of that too. And even many times USA and the Soviet Union stopped Levantine wars in the Middle East even when Israel was winning. Eisenhower also did a whole arms embargo on Israel, and it was also only until Trump when he recognized Jerusalem as the capital. Jimmy Carter was also sympathetic to Palestinian nationalism and their strife, and he lived to 100. I condemn Israel because of its actions in Gaza and historical persecution of Palestinians in general, not some schizophrenic fucking theories that they run us. Yes, AIPAC exists, and it is a problem, but so do corporate PACs. The ideology of Bundism exists, basically anti-Zionist Jewish socialism. Some people say it's Marxist, but it's not exactly. I'm not a Marxist. And me not being Marxist, it shows that cultural Marxist theories that we're all that ain't true. It proves not all Jews are Israeli or follow Israel. which also proves we're not conspiring together. Bernie Sanders is Jewish and doesn't accept AIPAC money and declared that the war on Gaza is genocide. And the theories we as Jews did 9/11? Jesus Christ, Al-Qaeda literally said they did it. People saying us Jewish Americans got told it was gonna happen. None of my fam got told smack shit, nor anyone nearby. And they were all around Chicago. And people saying the Jewish owner of the Twin Towers was late that day. There was absurd luck with some people, despite it being a tragedy. Seth MacFarlane famously was supposed to be on a plane that hit, but he missed it. He's not Jewish, he's Irish. And in fact, MacFarlane's projects, such as Family Guy, Ted, and American Dad, which are all amazing by the way, have plenty of Jewish jokes. MacFarlane isn't being haunted or anything, and as a Jew myself, I think some of his jokes are funny. I like Jewish jokes as long as they don't go off the rails. I make jokes with my friends about me and money or me and my nose, but we never say I run a dark satanic worshipping cabal, because I don't, nor do any other Jews. I worship God the Father and His Son, and most other Jews worship whom the Father is here in Christianity. I would count as Hebrew Catholic, a rare sect of the Catholic Church that has Jewish identity, but with Catholic religion. I don't really do any kosher or anything, but my family uses candles a lot to respect our ancestors, and go to church on Saturday instead of Sunday to follow old Sabbath tradition. Another theory is that the Jewish Bolsheviks purged Catholics. Dude, I admit many Bolsheviks were Jewish, but not because we're pitted into communism. In fact, there's many Jewish libertarians. But because the Russian Empire persecuted Jews. Yes, my family experienced persecution in Ukraine, Poland, and Lithuania under the Russian imperial system. But most Jews either had the choice to leave Russia and go to America, like my family did, or join a side against whom was persecuting them. But all their work went to waste when Stalin literally purged Jewish doctors. And Stalin, yes, quite obviously a Bolshevik, he literally called Jewish intellectuals and professionals rootless cosmopolitans. Apparently, when Stalin was literally dealing with Nazi Germany, he ordered the foreign ministry to be purged of Jews. And in the Russian Civil War, only over 300 bishops and priests were killed, and 700,000 to 1.2 million Christians died in Stalin's purges. The 12 million to 20 million statistic is criticized by historians for counting people who were just culturally Christian who died. And remember, this was under Stalin, who also attacked Jews, not some Jewish control. And I'm saying this when I'm religiously Christian. It's not as bad as like the Holocaust or anything. And then there's theories it's 271,000 instead of 6 million in the Holocaust. Well, listen, I think it was more than 6 million who died. There were people who were just shot and sent to death without a word. Not every document is found. There were ones who died outside Final Solution. Some bodies were never found. And it's already stated by some historians that 6 million is an at least statement. A lot of my family's towns in Lithuania and Poland were completely annihilated. And the Ukrainian one, they were in Kostopil, which is in Voilin, which was tough for Jews under Nazi occupation. The Voilin massacre literally happening there. It's already estimated in Auschwitz alone, it was 1 million for Jews alone. And that's only a small group of camps. You've seen chuds say, how could you cook 6 million cookies in an oven in 6 years? But what if it's multiple ovens? A lot across Germany and Poland. And 6 years wasn't even the full time span. Hitler took power in 1933. And if Jews really ran shit, Hitler would have gotten his ass shot during the rise to power, as it was slow but eventual. Trying to stop him, they could have had enough time to shoot him, but we don't actually have power to. And there has been Nazis posting about Hitler saying he kept some Jews to show why he did what he did, but not only is the quote not proven, Hitler always thought he was gonna win. There was Steiner's counterattack, and most quotes in Hitler's bunker, not found. And there's theories about people pointing out Jewish affiliation with Epstein, but the Epstein controversy is so wide web, and it has plenty of non-Jews such as Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, who is pretty anti-Semitic. I already have a video on Elon's Nazi ideology. Yes, Epstein was Jewish, doesn't mean everyone there was. Member of Epstein's inner circle, Jean-Luc Brunel, is French, not Jewish. There's Steve Bannon, Prince Andrew. There's plenty of non-Jews. Yes, there's Jews in the Epstein files, but there's African Americans who were at the Diddy parties. But not all African Americans are guilty. This is probably because of a sense of ethnic community and not anything esoteric. I have plenty of Polish and Jewish friends, because I'm mostly Polish Jewish. Everyone who is friends with Epstein still, I wish hell for them. But if Jews were really behind all that, wouldn't Epstein victims come in and say that, considering seeing how much they saw? No, because it wasn't all Jews. And the ones that were Jewish didn't do it because they're Jews. And then theories about Jewish celebrities. Then how did Charles Lindbergh, Henry Ford, and Elon Musk arise? They're anti-Semitic and became celebrities. And Jews early on in America in general had university enrollment caps and housing and club bans. Kanye West is still a celebrity despite his controversial statements. And Satiric is going off script a bit. So my mom, 3 years after Kanye actually did it, said, "Hey, did you guys hear Kanye changed his name to Ye?" Without knowing what he's doing around the time. As I said, she's Jewish. And anyway, there's celebrities that just aren't Jewish. Kurt Cobain, yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. I have multiple Nirvana CDs. But he wasn't Jewish. Courtney Love, who by the way is slightly Ashkenazi, literally said he wasn't Jewish, stating Kurt's overall Irish origin. Kurt Cobain also had very insurrectionary viewpoints, but became a celebrity without wanting to. If he walked in and saw it all being Jewish, with his honest viewpoints, he'd admit it is. But he still chose to have Jewish friends like Pat Smear, who's half Jewish, half African American, and he still respected him. Pat Smear respects him back, cause us Jews don't hate white people like extremists say. Ashkenazis, whom I am, are literally white. And why would we hate whites when we've wanted to be counted as white? I honestly don't care if we're white or not. But things as far as some Jewish white supremacists rising, like Laura Loomer, who by the way met with Nick Fuentes, what a fucking traitor, and Stephen Miller, who you know, schizophrenic as hell. They always point out Jewish celebrities, but the circle of celebrities are massive. There's millions, bro. And Jewish celebrities like Bob Dylan have left anti-authoritarian impacts. And theories were all Freemason? Buddy, Freemasonic lodges have kicked us out and restricted us throughout history. And again, I'm of Jewish origin and I'm not Freemason. And I'm religiously Catholic, which restricts it. And more anti-Semitic celebrities arise like Sneeko, Cadence Owens, and Nick Fuentes. And then Tyler Oliveira's video arose, which has promoted Jewish hatred. He called in New Jersey's Jewish invasion. Buddy, the Jewish community there has lived longer than your grandparents' birth. Nick Shirley, who has grown powerful in the Republican Party for grifting, also endorsed the video. Anyway, I ask, what Jewish fraud? Tyler only claimed to use welfare without showing per capita statistics, and then bitched about them having many children? My great-great-grandfather had like 8 kids, and a son. My great-grandfather had 10. My grandpa only had 3. But who cares about big Jewish families? That reminds me, some of his supporters were mocking someone being concerned why he was recording. Yeah, he shouldn't be. The dude's daughter was right by him. Olivera shouldn't have recorded them without legal consent. This is violating privacy laws. That's a minor, dude. After all of that, he started saying they're diverting public money towards their community by voting. Oh, so he can't use elections and democracy anymore? Sounds very un-American. Us Jews are probably more American than these bastards pestering us. He couldn't find smack shit. He just brought local people who didn't like Jews. Some were angry about them being in their own community, but ethnic communities have been widespread across America, especially among Eastern Europeans. Some Lithuanian communities have Normal Lithuanian, Litvak, which I have some of, and Russian and German minorities of Lithuania, all together, and similar circumstances with Polish. They were going on about the noticing shit when his Patreon got banned, because it didn't happen to him despite his racist videos before, but probably because this one got the most attention. And then Patreon noticed his racism and took him down. And probably because, again, he committed crimes, recording without permission, and then us controlling the banks. The leader of Bank of America is literally full-blooded Irish and Catholic, and that's one of the biggest banks. And no, I'm not gonna make a joke that it's actually the Irish who are in control, but ironically, you know, I'm a Jew and my top homeboys, some of my top homeboys are Irish, and so is my best friend. And the full-blooded Irish bank owner, Brian Moynihan, he's controversial enough where both Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, polar opposites, have criticized him. Yeah, the Rothschilds have set the standard for modern banking. That doesn't mean they de facto run it. I'm opposed to the Rothschilds, not because they're Jewish, because I'm a Jew too, but because they're billionaires. Ideas like this come from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a fake book showing fake Jewish plans. A lot of Nazis adore it, but the person who spread it from Russia to Germany, Sergei Tabaretsky, he was Jewish. They're getting what they think is so true from someone scared to admit it's not true because he's a part of the group of people that it's about. And no smack shit, none of that is happening. And then theories of them funding wars. Yeah, the Rothschilds did, but so did the Rockefellers, who ain't Jewish. And the current head of the Rothschilds, Nathaniel Rothschild, very non-globalistly, was linked with Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, son of Muammar Gaddafi, former Libyan dictator, which disproves world order theories. All these theories about Jewish billionaires, when 5 out of 10 of the top billionaires are non-Jewish or white and Asian, and only 4 are Jewish. And another factor is Elon Musk being Semitic, and he's adopt billionaires. Yeah, 4 Jewish billionaires, while there's 6 others that ain't Jewish. Yeah, it's still not enough to prove anything major. Yeah, this all adds into capitalism, and there's theories Jews run capitalism, but there's been Jews all over the political compass. There's been Ayn Rand for lib-right, there's fucking me for lib-left, Leon Trotsky for auth-left, and Laura Loomer for auth-right. Also, while Karl Marx was born a Jewish Christian originally, He later became racist to Jews, with him calling his enemy Ferdinand de Lassalle Jewish, well, he called him a Jewish N-word, yeah. On other occasions, he called him Little Jew, obsessing over Lassalle on his Jewish ethnicity. And then there's ones on other ends, saying there's the Great Replacement theory. Again, we don't control smack shit. We don't have power to. But remember, Ashkenazi is white too. We're not replacing white people. Immigration is usually because of the nation's situation. Many Ukrainians go on to Poland to survive the war with Russia, and policies that are often set by government and on rare occasions voters too. Again, the Jewish political community is diverse, and there's groupers who proclaim themselves as Christians, but hates the group of people God was. Jesus was Jewish. As I said, his mother prayed to Yahweh, and he too prayed to his father, who we know is Yahweh. And he was Jewish culturally and ethnically, as he chose to speak Aramean and Hebrew over Greek and Latin among people. Romans 9-11 is mostly about how Christianity became allowed for the Gentiles, but how its roots is Jewish, regardless if it's religion or ethnicity. Some say Acts is anti-Semitic, but it's literally about some Jewish guys inviting Gentiles to the church. Romans, anyway, is very philo-Semitic. Romans 11:26 literally says, "And thus all of Israel will be saved. As it is written, the reliever will come out of Zion," showing Christ is in fact a Jew, "and will turn away all godlessness from Jacob." New American Revised Edition Bible, by the way, which could be very common among many groupers, books of American Catholicism. Again, very un-Catholic to hate God's people. And then there's Romans 11:1. I ask then, has God rejected his people? Of course not, for I too am an Israelite, a descendant of Jacob, of the tribe of Benjamin. They literally said they're an Israelite, still saying Jews are in fact God's chosen people at the same time. And yes, as a Catholic, while I won't exactly count you as a Jew de facto, but if you believe in Jesus, I will count you as among God's chosen people, as God has chosen you to perhaps live for him and maybe someday with him in his kingdom. Although God first gave to us Jews when he brought us out of Egypt. Them saying they're Jewish is literally strongly powerful against anti-Semitism. But Romans 1:16 literally says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, for Jew first and then Greek." I am not a Hebrew supremacist. I want to live peacefully among white and black, Asian and Arab, Latinx and indigenous. But most of the Bible was originally made for Jews with the Old Testament. This also could show Jews were some of the first believers. Cornelius, coming after Christ's death, being one of the first Gentile Christians. Or perhaps the first. John 4:22 states salvation is literally from the Jews. And Jesus Christ, remember, is Jewish. And remember, Christ was the one not to abolish, but fulfill the Jewish law. Romans 9:4-5 says people like the patriarchs trace the human ancestry of Jesus Christ. Again showing Jesus Christ is a Jew. I worship a Jew. I worship a Jew. Romans 11 abroad gave the olive tree metaphor, showing Gentiles are grafted into the Jewish olive tree and should not be arrogant towards the natural branches. Israel. I'm not meaning Israel by the current national example, but the idea of a Jewish identity. Galatians 3:28 literally says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free person, there's not male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." This destroys all racism and other factors such as misogyny and slavery within Christianity. It has explicit usage of Jew, showing no difference among either. There is a theory called Christian identity, claiming Aryans, Celts, and Germanics were the real Israelites then. But firstly, Celts were ravaging Europe before Jesus walked the earth, so that eliminates them. Aryan shit is of course false. I don't wanna have to get into it. And Germanics already existed as Germanic tribes around northern Germany conflicted with Rome until being ravaged by Attila the Hun. Jewish movement after Rome expelled them from Zion is documented. Let's take Ashkenazim for example. Most went to around France and northwestern points of Italy, and perhaps western Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, after leaving Israel. But then they literally kicked them out with early fundamentalist kings, so most went to more accepting places, like Poland and Lithuania. Christian identity is not only a heresy to Christianity, but to history. So my ancestors probably walked alongside with Jesus. Probably not converted since, the Jewish religion. It's possible. But then there's the Talmud. There's apparently one verse about giving no mercy to Goyim, but that's taken out of context. Again, I'm not a practicing Jew. As a Hebrew Catholic, I believe a bit of the Talmud still prophesies Christ. Like it said the Messiah will come when the world is against Israel. And at the time it was Rome, which was basically the world, versus the Jewish people. They were most persecuted in Rome at the time, until Christianity came around. But still, the verse about giving no mercy to Goyim was about war, not in general. There is some passive Talmud verses about Goyim. Sanhedrin 37a. Jews and Goyim share one origin in Adam, the first man. Sanhedrin 105a. Goyim who fear God will be rewarded in paradise. Sanhedrin 59a. A Goy who studies the Torah is like a high priest. Avodah Zarah 3b. God wishes to treat both Jews and Goyim fairly. Sanhedrin 56b. Goyim are included in God's covenant with Noah. Bava Kama 113b. Jews must obey the laws of Goyim in their countries. Gittin 61a. Jews must support Bor Goyim, care for sick Goyim, and bury the dead of the Goyim. Chulin 94a. It is forbidden to deceive a Goy. Yerushalmi Bava Metzia 2 verse 5. Jews must return the lost property of Goyim. Makkot 24a. A righteous Jew loans money to a Goy without interest. Gittin Tine. All legal documents prepared by Goyim are fully valid. Sanhedrin 91b. There is wisdom to be gained in discussing philosophy with the Goyim. This proves that we're not as violent to Goyim and that we ain't using them as cattle. I'm not even religiously Jewish as they said. I'm only using this to disprove theories against the ones who practice Judaism. Now we use the last theory to disprove the nose. No, I'm not gonna do a face reveal, but I'll do a nose reveal. Yeah bro, it's big. But does it fucking matter? Well, it can be on Hmong Jews, it can also be on Mediterraneans, especially Italians. which is another reason why many Ashkenazis look Mediterranean. Because we come from Levant, Israel. My grandmother has even more of a stereotypical nose, and by the way, also redhead. So what? What the fuck do you expect us to do with a nose? Is it obsession with looks? Violent, sweaty macho male culture? That's what anti-Semitism always falls into, or tries to. They always want to seem strong, but we have lasted thousands of years through persecution. We're stronger than the anti-Semites. As Moses led us out of Egypt, someday we will be led out of persecution, whether if it's ethnic or religious. I may be a Christian now, and while I am not religiously Jewish, we shall never persecute them who are of Jewish faith, for they are my brothers. So help me God, or as my ancestors called him, Yahweh.
Hey, what are you doing? What the